Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with G.K. Jayaram, sitting in an auto rickshaw, lost in thought. We are told how Jayaram's life is about to change, when he meets Amal Kumar, an honest, hard-working and kind-hearted auto rickshaw driver. Amal has two regular customers, Pooja, a store merchant, and Kunal, a schoolboy and the son of a lawyer, Sapna Agarwal. One day, while Pooja is riding in Amal's auto rickshaw, a beggar girl Priya snatches her handbag and runs away. Without hesitation, Amal chases the girl, but unfortunately, Priya gets hit by a car. This incident shakes Amal and Pooja to the core, and they rush Priya to the hospital. Meanwhile, Jayaram visits a hotel and orders tea, but after it is served, he asks for Bournvita. The owner refuses to serve him, and insults him, which leads to an altercation, and he is thrown out of the hotel. At the hospital, Amal and Pooja anxiously wait for news about Priya's condition. The police investigate the incident, and the doctor informs them about the severity of Priya's injuries. They are worried about the girl's condition. The next day, Amal is resting on a bench in the hospital yard, when a doctor wakes him up and asks him about Priya and her family. The doctor informs him that her condition is critical, and she needs to stay in the hospital for a few more days. Amal is devastated by the news, and decides to help her in any way possible. As he works on fixing his auto rickshaw, another driver pulls up and offers a ride to Jayaram. However, the other driver changes his mind when he sees a foreign customer, and decides to take them instead. This leaves Jayaram to ride with Amal, who he asks to take him to the JP inner circle. During the ride, Jayaram begins to cough, but Amal quickly offers him cough drops. The road is congested with traffic due to the ongoing metro work, but since Jayaram is in a hurry, Amal tries his best to drop him off as quickly as possible. Upon reaching the inner circle, Jayaram insists on being dropped off at the outer circle instead. Amal, not wanting to engage in an argument, apologizes and acknowledges the mistake of mishearing him, ultimately dropping him off at the outer circle. As Jayaram asks for the bill, he tells Amal he would pay only 37 rupees, instead of the usual 47 rupees. Amal listens patiently with a smile, and when Jayaram hands him a 50 rupee note, telling him to keep the change as a reward, Amal only takes the 37 rupees, giving back the change. Before he leaves, Jayaram asks his father's name. Overall, it was an eventful ride for all involved, with Jayaram learning to be patient and understanding, while Amal showing his kindness and compassion to his passengers. Some time later, inside the auto rickshaw, Pooja and Amal are discussing Priya's medical condition. Pooja is worried about the girl's health and eager to find out her condition. They arrive at their destination, and Pooja goes out to buy some water bottles and returns to the auto rickshaw. At night, when Jayaram strolls through the streets, he always keeps an eye out for any miscreants who dared to defile the public space, urinating on the walls. And if he sees someone doing it, he wouldn't hesitate to give them a piece of his mind, and make sure they feel ashamed of their actions. But as much as he cared about cleanliness, he had little patience for entertainment. When he goes to the local hotel to listen to the singer, he gets bored with the same old tunes. When the singer insists that Jayaram should sing, he sings with a beautiful voice, and all the people listen to him with great love. It is only after his passing that Jayaram's true identity is revealed. As his family and friends gather for his funeral, Jayaram's son Harish and his wife are shocked to hear that the contents of the will are to be kept secret for 30 days after his death. The lawyer, Sapna, advises them to return after 27 days, but they are too angry to listen. Vivek apologizes for his brother's behavior, and leaves the office in shame. Meanwhile, Amal visits the hospital to check up on Priya. When he learns Priya is an orphan, and she worked for the Godfather, he couldn't help but wonder what kind of life she was leading. Back at the hotel, Vivek drowns his sorrows in a bottle of alcohol, seeking comfort from his uncle, Suresh. But Suresh has little sympathy for Vivek, especially when he realizes that he is not mentioned in the will. And when Vivek asks him who it is, Suresh simply shrugs and says he wouldn't believe him even if he told him. As Amal returns home after a few days, his mother couldn't help but fuss, insisting he find a wife and settle down. But he is too exhausted from his travels to think about such things, and falls asleep as soon as he finishes his meal. Meanwhile, Vivek meets with the Godfather to find some hope. The Godfather respected his father, and Vivek swears by him, promising to repay his debt within a month. The Godfather demands he double the original amount. Elsewhere, Amal is driving Pooja home from her store, when suddenly, he loses control of the auto rickshaw, and hits another auto rickshaw. The driver of the other auto rickshaw is furious, and starts arguing. To make matters worse, upon seeing Pooja, he begins to tease her. At that moment, the passenger of the other auto rickshaw flees without paying the bill, and the driver chases after him. Amal, on the other hand, seems to be in a good mood, and drives off with a smile on his face, leaving Pooja to wonder what is going on with him. Concerned about his tiredness, she asks him to take some rest. Later, he confides in her that he is worried about Priya, and apologizes for the accident, leaving abruptly. Pooja is left feeling confused and concerned. Meanwhile, Suresh calls Vivek to remind him of a deal they made. If Vivek helps hide Amal, Vivek would receive a 25% share of the property inheritance. In the hospital, Amal is playing with Priya, when she advises him to express his feelings to Pooja. As Suresh begins his search for Amal, after a long search, he finally meets him, driving in Rajin. During their journey, Suresh finds out everything about Amal. When lawyer Sapna calls Suresh to ask about Amal's whereabouts, he lies, and tells her that he hasn't found him yet. On the other hand, Amal visits a doctor, who informs him Priya needs surgery, that would cost 50,000 rupees. Amal asks Sapna's husband for help, but they also refuse to give him such a large amount of money. Meanwhile, Vivek's luck takes a turn for the worse, as he loses all his money playing rummy. He heads over to meet his brother Harish, who delivers worse news. His wife is leaving him because she believes he is a loser, and won't receive his father's inheritance. Vivek is shocked and unsure of what to do next. As night falls, Suresh sneaks into lawyer Sapna's office in secret. He searches, and finally finds the will of Jayaram. The will contains a cryptic message, stating, "Don't trust anyone, only trust Mr. Agarwal." Suresh gives some money to a maid, and just as he is about to leave, Sapna arrives, and inquires about the noise she heard. The maid tells her she went to the bathroom. She is left feeling uneasy and worried about the situation. Meanwhile, Amal is desperate to save his sick Priya. He sells his auto rickshaw to the godfather, to pay for her operation, and waits outside the operating room. Sapna tries to get a call from Suresh, but he is not answering his phone, leaving her feeling anxious about the case. Tragically, Priya does not make it through the operation, and Amal is devastated. He breaks down in tears at the sight of her. Later, Pooja decides to visit Amal at his house. She meets his mother and discovers he is no longer an auto rickshaw driver, but works at a post office instead. Suresh contacts Sapna and informs her he has located Amal, and will bring him to her the next day at 9 a.m. When Amal returns home from work, Pooja surprises him with a gift, a carburetor. He is taken aback, as he knows it must have cost her a lot of money. Pooja reveals she spent all her savings on the gift, the money she had been saving for her wedding. Amal is touched by her gesture, and accepts the gift with a smile. He moves closer to her, affectionately. Elsewhere, Vivek's car screeches to a halt as the godfather's men step in front of it, blocking his path, and start assaulting him, warning him not to be late with his payment. After the attack, he goes to meet Suresh, and Suresh recounts the dying wish of Jayaram, who had requested pen and paper to write his new will. Jayaram's last request was for Suresh to find Amal, which he agreed to do. Vivek is skeptical of his father's decision to entrust all his money to a rickshaw driver, Amal, but Suresh believes in the man's potential, and reveals he already found him last week and planned to take him to Sapna tomorrow. But things take a dramatic turn as Vivek becomes enraged at Suresh's decision, and chokes him to death, and flees with all the documents. The next morning, Amal drops Pooja off at her house, and they arrange to meet again in evening. Sapna tries calling Suresh, but no answer, and finds him missing at his house. Suresh had told his driver he would be leaving at 6 a.m., but he is nowhere to be found. Sapna searches for Amal's address and finally finds it. She goes to his house, and discovers he already left for work. Determined to find him, she begins searching on the streets. After a long search, she finally receives a lead from an auto rickshaw driver. He picks up the children from Sacred Heart School at 3 p.m. Arriving at the school, she discovers Amal is his son Kunal's auto rickshaw driver, hired 6 months ago. When Amal drops Kunal off at home, Sapna is waiting for him. She asks him his name, and invites him inside, but Amal is in a hurry to meet Pooja, and tries to avoid her. She reminds him about Jayaram, but he doesn't recall anything. Then she takes him to her office, and gives him Jayaram's letter. However, she is interrupted by an important call from a detective, regarding Suresh, so she asks Amal to wait in the living room. He decides to leave for his meeting with Pooja. On his way out, a homeless girl approaches him, asking for a piece of paper to draw on. He hands her the letter and drives away. The homeless girl approaches Kunal, and informs him that the paper has writing on it and could be important. Kunal replies it won't make any difference since Amal can't read. Amal picks up Pooja, and they exchange smiles. A voiceover of Jayaram remarks that he cannot fathom what the man who refused 3 rupees would do with 300 million rupees. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.